Here's a hearing Congressional Republicans should hold. How can we stop the World Bank and the IMF from harming poorer nations, not to mention the global economy? Hello, I'm Steve Forbes, and this is What's Ahead, where you get the insights you need to better navigate these turbulent times. President Biden has nominated a new head for the World Bank that should prompt Republicans in the House of Representatives to hold hearings on that institution and its sister, the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. Both must be overhauled for the sake of a better world. They are created after World War II to help countries achieve prosperity and to deal constructively with economic crises. But for a long time, their entrenched bureaucracies have pursued approaches that too often have been doing more harm than good. The World Bank's mission was to finance infrastructure projects, while the IMF would aid countries if their currencies came under attack by providing short-term loans to buy time to get their houses in order. This way, nations wouldn't be tempted to resort to currency devaluations and throwing up trade barriers, as happened all too often during the terrible depression-ridden years of the 1930s. When the post-World War II gold-based monetary regime of fixed exchange rates collapsed in 1971, the IMF changed its raison d'etre to be an economic doctor for nations that got into trouble. But this institution has been guilty of economic malpractice, treating these countries the way doctors treated patients over 2 centuries ago, by bleeding them. The IMF routinely prescribes currency devaluations, the very definition of inflation, which is lessening the value of a currency. Higher taxes are another favorite IMF medication. The World Bank is supposed to provide loans and grants to developing countries for capital projects, such as highways. The bank has expanded its writ to include financing environmental programs, especially related to climate change, and giving money to NGOs. The agency has been riddled with political cronyism, approving programs based not on merit, but on politics and too many times outright corruption. Incredibly, the bank still shovels out money to China as if it were a developing nation. David Malpass, a brilliant economist who has held key posts in the U.S. Treasury Department, became president of the World Bank in 2019 and pushed much-needed changes. He understands what enables countries to grow, such as lower tax rates, currency stability, and private sector investment. Despite fierce bureaucratic resistance, he cut those China giveaways by more than half. But he aroused ferocious attacks from climate change fanatics because he approached alleged green projects with a pragmatic eye. He favored having countries exploiting their own energy resources, such as natural gas. Malpass's predecessor had taken the exact opposite approach regarding fossil fuels. The lack of cheap, available energy seriously hinders economic development. Malpass is stepping down after 4 years, and Biden wants the bank to splurge on climate change schemes, which experience has shown to be wasteful, inefficient, and a rich source of corruption. The World Bank and the IMF need a very hard look. I'm Steve Forbes. Thanks for listening. Do send in your comments and suggestions, and I look forward to being with you soon again.